Before you go to sleep tonight, I want you to pay attention to something most people ignore for years. Your body is talking to you, not through loud warnings, not through dramatic emergencies, but through small signals. The stiffness in your fingers when you wake up, the aching knees when you stand, the tightness in your shoulders at night, the dry skin that suddenly looks older every month, the exhaustion that sleep no longer seems to fix. And here is the strange part. Millions of older adults are told this is simply normal aging, that after 60 or 70, discomfort is just part of life. But what if some of that inflammation could actually be calmed naturally? What if your skin was more powerful than you realized? Because tonight, I want to show you something fascinating. Researchers studying aging and inflammation discovered that certain oils applied directly to the skin may interact with the body in ways most people never hear about. Some appear to support circulation. Some may help calm inflammatory pathways. Some are connected to skin repair and collagen support. And one of them is probably sitting in your kitchen right now. So before we begin, do me one quick favor. Tap the like button and subscribe to the channel. Not because it helps me, because YouTube is more likely to show this information to someone older who might truly need it tonight. And while you are down in the comments, tell me your age and where your body feels the most stiffness lately. Your knees, your hands, your back, your shoulders. I read the comments carefully, and many of these videos are inspired directly by your stories. Now tonight, we are counting down 5 oils often discussed in research connected to aging, skin health, and inflammation support. Starting with number 5, black seed oil. For centuries, black seed oil has been used in traditional wellness practices across many cultures. But modern scientists became interested in it because of one powerful compound called thymoquinone. Researchers studying inflammation noticed that this compound appeared to interact with inflammatory signaling inside the body. Now let me explain this simply. Think of inflammation like a fire alarm that never fully shuts off. As people age, that alarm often stays slightly activated all the time. That constant low-grade inflammation is connected to joint discomfort, stiffness, poor recovery, and even accelerated aging. What fascinated researchers about black seed oil was its potential ability to help calm parts of that inflammatory response naturally. One study involving older adults with chronic knee discomfort found noticeable improvement in pain and mobility after several weeks of consistent topical use. And honestly, that does not surprise me, because I have spoken with many older adults who describe the exact same thing after using it consistently. Not miracles, not overnight transformations, just gradual relief, a little less stiffness, a little easier movement, a little less discomfort waking them up at night. And those small changes matter more than people realize. Because aging rarely steals quality of life all at once. It steals it slowly. First stairs become annoying, then long walks disappear, then hobbies disappear. Then people stop doing the things that once made them feel alive. I remember speaking with a retired mechanic named Frank, 74 years old, strong man his entire life. But arthritis in his hands slowly changed everything. One evening he told me something painful. He said, "I do not miss being young. I just miss using my hands without thinking about pain." That sentence stayed with me, because most older adults are not asking for perfection. They just want comfort. They want their body to cooperate again. Frank started warming black seed oil between his palms each night and massaging it carefully into his fingers and knuckles before sleep. Several weeks later, he said his hands felt looser in the mornings. Not perfect, but improved enough that he started working in his garage again. That matters. For nighttime use, many people apply a small amount of cold-pressed black seed oil directly onto stiff joints or sore muscles after bathing, while the skin is still slightly damp. Gentle massage helps absorption and circulation, and consistency matters far more than quantity. Now number 4 works very differently, because this next oil became famous not because of joints first, but because researchers noticed what it seemed to do for aging skin. Number 4 is rosehip seed oil. Not rose perfume, not rose-scented lotion. Real rosehip seed oil comes from the seeds inside the fruit of the rose plant. And biologically, it is extremely interesting. Researchers studying skin aging became fascinated by its natural fatty acids and vitamin A-related compounds connected to skin repair and barrier support. Now here is why this matters more after 70. As skin ages, the protective barrier becomes weaker. Moisture escapes faster. Irritation increases. And the skin itself can become a source of low-grade inflammation. Most people think skin aging is only cosmetic. Wrinkles, dryness, sagging. But your skin is an organ. And when it becomes damaged or chronically irritated, the entire body feels the stress. Researchers found that regular rosehip oil use was associated with improvements in hydration, visible roughness, and skin comfort in aging adults. But what fascinated me most was how many people described their skin feeling calmer. That word came up repeatedly. Calm, less irritation, less tightness, less sensitivity. One woman named Eleanor once told me something beautiful after using rosehip oil regularly before bed. She said, "My skin finally feels peaceful again." That sentence says more than most scientific charts ever could. Because inflammation is not always dramatic. Sometimes it feels like your body quietly struggling all day long. Rosehip oil appears to help support the skin barrier that aging adults slowly lose over time. And when that barrier improves, many people describe sleeping more comfortably too. That matters tremendously because sleep is where repair happens. That is when the body rebuilds tissue. That is when inflammation should naturally decrease. And yet millions of older adults sleep in bodies that never fully relax. For nighttime application, many people warm a few drops between the palms and massage it gently upward onto dry areas of the skin. Slowly, not aggressively. Think nourishment, not friction. And here is something important most people overlook. Nighttime rituals themselves matter. The nervous system responds to consistency, warmth, touch, relaxation. These things affect stress responses inside the body. Now, before we continue to number 3, let me ask you something. Have you noticed your body feels older at night than it did 10 years ago? If yes, write the word night in the comments. You would be surprised how many people watching this feel exactly the same way. And if this video is helping you see your body differently, subscribe now before you forget. Because the next oil on this list surprised even researchers studying pain and sleep. Number 3 is magnesium oil. And technically, it is not even an oil at all. It is a concentrated magnesium chloride solution that feels slippery like oil on the skin. Now, why is magnesium so important? Because magnesium plays roles in hundreds of biological functions connected to muscles, nerves, relaxation, and sleep quality. The problem is that many adults absorb magnesium less efficiently as they age. Researchers estimate that magnesium deficiency may be extremely common in older adults, and low magnesium levels are often associated with muscle tightness, poor sleep, cramps, and increased discomfort. One fascinating area of research involves something called the NMDA receptor. Think of it like a volume control for pain signals in the nervous system. When magnesium levels are low, that volume control may become overactive, meaning the body feels more tense, more reactive, and more uncomfortable. Several studies involving topical magnesium use observed improvements in relaxation and sleep-related discomfort after consistent application, especially at night. And honestly, that makes perfect sense to me, because sleep is one of the most powerful anti-aging tools the body has. Poor sleep increases stress hormones, increases inflammation, slows tissue repair, and drains energy from nearly every system in the body. One retired nurse told me she started spraying magnesium oil onto the bottoms of her feet each night almost out of curiosity. At first, she noticed nothing. Then one morning she realized she had slept through the night for the first time in months. That is the thing about healing. Sometimes improvement happens quietly, not dramatically, just slowly enough that one day you suddenly realize your body feels different. For nighttime use, many people spray magnesium oil onto the feet, calves, shoulders, or stiff joints before bed. A slight tingling sensation is common during early use, and many people combine it with gentle massage to help relaxation before sleep. Now, the next oil on this list is the one almost nobody expects. And when I first learned about the research behind it, even I was surprised. Number 2 is emu oil. And I know some people immediately react when they hear that name. But stay with me for a moment, because the science behind this oil became genuinely fascinating to researchers studying skin absorption and inflammation support. What makes emu oil unique is how closely its fatty acid structure resembles human skin lipids. That matters because the skin tends to absorb substances more effectively when they are structurally similar to its own natural oils. Researchers studying topical delivery systems noticed that emu oil appeared to penetrate the skin barrier unusually well compared to many traditional oils. But what surprised scientists even more was this. The oil itself appeared biologically active. Several experimental studies observed reductions in visible irritation and inflammation after regular application. And for older adults, that becomes important because aging changes connective tissue dramatically. After 70, collagen levels decline significantly. Skin becomes thinner. Joints feel stiffer, recovery slows down, and suddenly ordinary movement starts feeling difficult. Most people think collagen only matters for appearance, but collagen supports tendons, joints, blood vessels, and connective tissue throughout the body. When collagen weakens, movement changes too. I remember meeting a retired carpenter named Harold, 78 years old. He spent most of his life building furniture by hand, tables, shelves, wooden toys for his grandchildren. But over time, severe stiffness in his hands slowly took that joy away from him. One evening he told me something heartbreaking. He said, "The worst part is not the pain. It is feeling useless." That sentence stayed with me because so many older adults quietly feel the same way. Not broken, not defeated, just disconnected from the things that once gave their life meaning. Harold started applying emu oil to his hands every evening before sleep. Slow massage, 5 minutes each night. No expectations, no miracle thinking, just consistency. About 2 months later, he mailed me a photograph of a small wooden airplane he built for his grandson. That picture sat on my desk for years, because it reminded me that improvement does not always mean becoming young again. Sometimes it means getting enough comfort back to reconnect with life. For nighttime use, many people massage emu oil slowly into knees, fingers, shoulders, hips, or lower back before bed. Gentle heat beforehand may help comfort and absorption. And here is something important. Do not rush the process. A rushed nervous system rarely relaxes well. The ritual itself matters. The body responds differently when care becomes consistent. Now we finally arrive at number 1. The oil almost nobody expects. Because after hearing about exotic compounds and unusual ingredients, most people assume the most powerful option must be rare or expensive. It is not. In fact, it is probably sitting in your kitchen right now. Number 1 is extra virgin olive oil, cold pressed, high quality, rich in natural polyphenols. Now I know that sounds almost too simple, but researchers studying Mediterranean populations became deeply interested in olive oil decades ago for one major reason: inflammation. Scientists discovered that extra virgin olive oil contains compounds including oleocanthal, which appears to interact with inflammatory pathways connected to discomfort and oxidative stress. Not identical to medication, not a replacement for medical treatment, but biologically interesting enough that researchers continued studying it extensively. Now here is why this matters, especially after 65. As the body ages, natural skin oils decline rapidly. Moisture escapes more easily, oxidative stress increases, and the skin barrier weakens significantly. That affects far more than appearance. Because your skin is not decoration. It is an organ constantly communicating with the rest of your body. Researchers studying olive oil polyphenols observed antioxidant activity connected to protection against oxidative stress in skin tissue. And many people who regularly apply olive oil to aging skin describe improvements in dryness, comfort, and overall skin feel over time. One woman named Margaret once described nighttime as the hardest part of aging. Not daytime, nighttime. Because when everything became quiet, she became aware of every ache in her body. Her knees, her shoulders, her hands, her dry skin. She started creating a simple nightly ritual. Warm shower, soft music. A small amount of olive oil massaged slowly into her hands, arms, and legs before sleep. Several weeks later, she told me something beautiful. She said, "My body feels cared for again." That sentence matters more than most people realize. Because many older adults spend years treating their body like a problem instead of a living system still trying to recover and adapt. The body responds differently when it receives consistent support. And one of the most overlooked parts of healing is touch, warmth, circulation, relaxation. Gentle massage. These things affect the nervous system far more than people think. For nighttime use, many people apply a small amount of high-quality extra virgin olive oil onto slightly damp skin after bathing. Hands, knees, feet, shoulders, lower back, wherever stiffness and dryness feel strongest. Slow massage is important, not aggressive rubbing, and consistency matters more than intensity. Now before we continue, I want to ask you something personal. When was the last time you truly believed your body could still improve? Not become perfect, not become young again, just improve. Because hopelessness ages people faster than wrinkles ever will. And many older adults quietly stop trying long before their body has actually stopped responding. That is one reason I wanted to make this video tonight. Not to promise miracles, but to remind you that the body remains adaptable far longer than most people realize. Researchers continue discovering that aging is not simply one straight line downward. The body still repairs, still adapts, still responds to better sleep, reduced stress, movement, nourishment, and care. Even later in life, I have seen older adults improve flexibility in their 70s, sleep better in their 80s, regain enough comfort to garden again, travel again, play with grandchildren again. Not because they became younger, but because they stopped assuming decline was completely unavoidable, and that mindset shift changes everything. Now there is another important reason nighttime routines matter so much after 60. The nervous system changes with age. Stress recovery slows. Sleep becomes lighter. Inflammatory sensitivity increases. Even loneliness affects inflammatory markers inside the body. Yes, loneliness. Researchers repeatedly found links between isolation and increased inflammatory activity in older adults. That means healing is never only physical. The nervous system needs calm too. I once visited a senior community center where several residents began sharing simple evening wellness routines with each other. Warm tea, soft music, stretching, massage oils before bed. Nothing extreme. But over time, staff members noticed something fascinating. People seemed calmer, more social, more hopeful. Because rituals create emotional stability. And emotional stability affects physical health more than most people realize. The body heals differently when it feels safe. That is one reason nighttime self-care matters. Not because oils are magical, but because the body responds to repeated signals of care and relaxation. And when inflammation decreases even slightly, sleep often improves. When sleep improves, recovery improves. When recovery improves, movement improves. And when movement improves, people begin living again instead of simply enduring discomfort. That cycle matters, far more than most people realize. Now I want to leave you with something important tonight. I've spent years listening to older adults describe what aging feels like emotionally. And honestly, most people are not afraid of getting older. They are afraid of disappearing piece by piece. First, the energy disappears. Then flexibility disappears. Then confidence disappears. Then routines change. People stop traveling, stop gardening, stop dancing, stop walking long distances, stop feeling connected to their own body. And slowly, many begin believing decline is unavoidable, that nothing can truly help anymore. But I do not believe that. And more importantly, modern research does not fully support that hopeless idea either. Because the human body remains remarkably adaptive later in life. Even aging tissue still responds to better sleep, better circulation, reduced stress, gentle movement, nutrition, touch, consistency. That matters. One thing I always tell older adults is this: do not judge your body only by what hurts today. Judge it by whether it still responds. Because a body that still responds still has potential. And human biology responds to consistency better than intensity. That means small nightly habits repeated over time may matter far more than dramatic short-term solutions. A few minutes of massage before bed. Hydrating aging skin. Reducing nighttime stress. Supporting circulation. Creating calm before sleep. These things may sound simple, but the nervous system loves simple consistency. I remember speaking with a woman named Carol after one wellness lecture several years ago. She was 80 years old. Sharp mind, warm smile, but she quietly admitted something painful. She said she stopped looking in mirrors for long periods because she no longer recognized the person staring back at her. Not because of vanity, because aging made her feel disconnected from herself. That sentence stayed with me, because visible aging is not only physical, it affects identity too. Carol later started creating a nightly routine for herself. Not out of fear, out of care. Warm shower, soft lighting, music, gentle stretching. Applying oil slowly to her hands and arms before bed. Several months later, she told me something beautiful. She said, "I stopped feeling like my body was my enemy." That matters more than people realize. Because stress itself accelerates aging. Constant frustration with the body increases tension, poor sleep, and inflammatory stress. The nervous system becomes trapped in a cycle of discomfort. But calm routines interrupt that cycle. And one reason nighttime matters so much is because the body performs enormous repair work during sleep. Collagen rebuilding, cellular cleanup, hormone regulation, tissue recovery. All of it depends heavily on sleep quality and nervous system balance. That is why so many older adults feel dramatically worse after poor sleep. The body simply cannot repair efficiently without enough recovery. Now let me be very clear about something important. Natural oils are not magic cures. They are not replacements for medical care. And they are not overnight solutions. But many contain biologically active compounds that researchers continue studying for their relationship to inflammation, skin health, circulation, and tissue support. And when combined with consistency, relaxation, hydration, and healthy habits, many people genuinely notice meaningful improvements over time. That is the key phrase, over time. Because modern culture trains people to expect instant transformation. But the body rarely works that way. Healing is often gradual, quiet, subtle, until one day you suddenly realize your hands feel less stiff. Your sleep improved. Your skin feels calmer. Your knees ache less climbing stairs. And perhaps most importantly, you begin trusting your body again. That emotional shift changes everything. I also think many older adults underestimate how powerful self-care becomes emotionally later in life. Especially after retirement, especially after loss, especially after years of stress. Touch matters, warmth matters, comfort matters, feeling cared for matters. even when that care comes from yourself. One thing researchers repeatedly observe in healthy aging populations is the importance of routine. Simple daily behaviors repeated consistently. Movement, connection, nutrition, sleep rituals, stress reduction. These things compound over time. And perhaps tonight becomes the beginning of one small new routine for you. Not because you are trying to look 20 again, but because your body still deserves support, still deserves comfort, still deserves patience. Whether you are 62 or 84, your body has not completely given up on you. The question is whether you have given up on it. And I hope tonight reminded you not to. So let us quickly recap the 5 oils we discussed tonight. Number 5 was black seed oil, often studied for its connection to inflammatory support and joint comfort. Number 4 was rosehip seed oil, known for skin barrier support, hydration, and aging skin research. Number 3 was magnesium oil, connected to relaxation, muscle comfort, and sleep support. Number 2 was emu oil, studied for deep skin penetration and connective tissue support. And number 1 was extra virgin olive oil, rich in polyphenols and widely researched for oxidative stress and inflammation-related benefits. Now here is something I want you to remember before sleeping tonight. Do not try everything at once. Choose one. Just one. Create a simple nighttime ritual around it. Be patient with your body, and pay attention to how you feel after several consistent weeks. Because consistency changes biology, not perfection. And before we finish, I want you to do 2 things. First, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications because next week I am sharing another topic many older adults are never warned about until it already affects their health and mobility. Second, go down into the comments and tell me your age and which of these oils you are most curious to try first. I genuinely read your comments, and your experiences help shape future videos for this community. And if this video made you think about someone you love, send it to them tonight. A parent, a grandparent, a friend struggling with stiffness or poor sleep. Because sometimes one small piece of information arrives at exactly the right moment in someone's life. Thank you for spending this time with me tonight. Take care of your body. Be patient with yourself. And remember this, growing older does not mean your body stops responding. Sometimes it simply means your body needs a different kind of care than it did before.